Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next installment of Arc 2 of The Chaos Protocol. We are an odd transgender, people of color-led, dark fantasy, actual play TTRPG channel telling stories set in an original, non-colonial, anti-orientalist multiverse. This means that, as always, we'd like to start off this stream by reminding everyone we stand against genocide and ethnic cleansing and support all oppressed peoples of the world struggling against injustice, imperialism, and colonization. Our voices are not just for our stories. So free DRC, free Sudan, and free Palestine. And now, let's get chaotic! We are co-streaming tonight on Twitch and YouTube at Transplanar RPG, and on TikTok, if you're over here on TikTok, hello, on my personal platform at by Connie Chong. If you're watching this right now, you are seeing the live recording of Arc 2 episodes 19 and 20. Next week, this is so exciting, we are hosting a charity stream for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund with special guest player Erica Ishii! So drop out Dimension 20 HCR fans, rejoice! Also, if you love Valk from Apex, right? Like, come on. So mark your calendars, my sweet transplaners. You do not want to miss next week's episode. That's going to be March 23rd, Saturday, 8 p.m. US Eastern Time on TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch. Right here on Transplanar RPG or on TikTok at by Connie Chong. And now, please allow me to introduce my fantabulous, lovely, benevolent cast for the evening, starting with Val.
Hello everybody, I'm Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Otto Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. And tonight, I have the distinct pleasure of playing your bitey little meow meow Sayer, who uses he, they pronouns. And I'm gonna pass it over to the pop of the hour.
That's not good table manners. Hi everyone, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns, and I am back tonight, apparently deciding what are good table manners as Mr. Zanin-ish, who uses he, him pronouns. And I'm gonna bounce it on over to Sam.
God damn it, Kai, already with the dad jokes. Hi, everyone. I'm Samstar, using she, they, and the occasional they pronouns, as well as my cute little iced coffee that I got in this adorable mug that Val got me for my birthday. So I love Val. But yeah, I play Lumira, our favorite chronologist, bad bitch, top, whatever, uses she, her pronouns. What's going on, boss?
It's me, the boss. I'm your game master for the evening, Connie Chong, C-O-N-N-I-C-H-A-N-G, pronouns they, he, and she. You can find me across the internet at by Connie Chong. So, to start off our announcements, a massive thank you to our sponsors for Arc 2 who help support this show and make sure we can actually produce it. So, Explain Trade, Chepeku, Hero Forge, and Nine Heavens Press for this particular episode. Explain Trade is a negotiation skills training consultancy that believes in transplaners' power to grow, lift up our communities, and tell incredible stories. So thank you so much for believing in us now and always. Dimitri opines on Twitter. Chepeku creates unique, imaginative, and outlandish TTRPG maps you won't find anywhere else. They've got dozens of variations and effects, and you can use VTT integrations in Foundry and but Alchemy, a bunch of other places with these maps. So check them out at chepeku.com. Finally, for this episode, Nine Heavens Press is the publisher behind Undying Corruption. If you haven't heard of this before, you should keep your ears open because it's pretty incredible. It's a 400 plus page D&D 5e and Pathfinder 2e adventure book taking place in the fantastical country of Tangguk, based on Korean mythology, and is helmed by a team of primarily Korean and Asian diaspora creators. It's truly an incredible work that I urge everyone to support if you have the means. You can see some of their beautiful art in action right here on our stream during the first half of the session as the background of our stream, and you can pre-order Undying Corruption today by visiting bit.ly/Undying Corruption. The U and the C are capitalized. If you go to that link, that's a special link that we have, every click on it, every visit helps us, and it's free for you to do so. So just go over there, check them out, check out Undying Corruption today. It's an easy way that you can support the stream without needing to dig into your wallets. I'm gonna pass it over to Val.
Hello everybody, we'd love to take a moment to thank our Patreon precepts. These are folks pledged the highest tier on our Patreon. Thank you so much to Alex, Astrid, The Bow System, Charles, Cassidy, Cora Eckert, Derek Davidson, Jordan, Lyle and Peanut, Mark J, Phil, Rose, Spencer, and Taylor for sponsoring the second arc of Chaos. Use !Patreon in chat to learn more about our rewards and get access to some truly devious behind-the-scenes content.
If you're enjoying the Chaos Protocol, please consider donating and leaving us a tip. All tips go towards us as performers and will also be used to support our incredible mod team. Every time you donate $15 or more, you'll be entered into a raffle to win a very special dice set from Dispel Dice. Does this set remind you of someone? A chosen someone, perhaps? Use !Donate in chat and toss a coin to the Twilight Guard.
Last time on the Chaos Protocol. Strike Team Nova meets with Emperor Longdu and discovers that the gods are trapped inside the river gourd at Xiao Chang's hip, and all of them are inside a dream. After they awaken, the party realizes that they're not only the ones after the river gourd. After fighting some demons and their own bad rolls, Nova is ready to figure out exactly what's going on with Xiao Chang. And that's what you missed last time. Use !Recap in the Twitch chat to read our full written recap document.
Thanks for that, Sam. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. So content warnings for this session may include fantasy violence, grief, trauma, depictions of heights, visions, romance, references to sex, ghosts, and mentions of cannibalism, alcohol, and death of loved ones and family. So use !CW in the Twitch chat to get a look at our content warnings at any time. If you're on YouTube or TikTok, go to the link in my bio or transplanerrpg.com to learn more about the themes and the topics that might arise during our shows and learn more about the channel itself. With that out of the way, the title of tonight's episode is Steel Gleams with Blood Afoul, from Carved Inside an Empty Urn by Connie Chong. Not ominous. Let's begin. The Hall of Stolen Chance is a shadowy throne room supported by pillars of pure bone and arches of black jade. Prayer papers dangle in blackened strings. Smoke curls upward from incense holders, filling this chamber with the thick, heady scent of worship. At the end of this hall, an ivory throne gleams like a dagger flashing out of an assassin's cloak. It stands upon a raised dais in a moat of molten silver. And kneeling before this moat, their lips trembling with failure, are 3 demons recently returned from the city of heaven. Shalong is still bleeding from the shoulder. Tang Tang's vulpine eyes dart from smoke to pillar to moat to throne to pillar. Bai Guzing is the calmest amongst the trio, or at least she appears to be. Tada long black hair obscures the smallest knot of fear between Tada eyes. Sitting upon this throne is Queen Ti Gu, the first fallen, beginning of the end, Lord of Death, sovereign on low of the underworld, the Silver Tilian. She wears robes of pure black, limned by embroidery the same violently silver color as Tada long, sweeping hair, as Tada eyes. A black Hua Dian in the shape of a lotus gleams upon Tada forehead. Their face is soft and rugged, peaceable and thunderous, masculine and feminine, loving and hateful. She looks exactly like her sister, and nothing like her at all. The 3 demons press their foreheads against the black tile of the Hall of Stolen Chance. Bai Guzing cries out, "Oh, Lord of Death, great sovereign on low, please forgive these 3 lowly demons and give us another chance to procure this river gourd that you seek." Queen Tsigu does not move. Their face makes no expression. Their eyes betray no emotion. When she speaks, her voice is flat but venomous, like a serpent hiding its fangs. Forgive is an interesting word. It implies you have disappointed. You could not disappoint me. I held no expectations for you in the first place. Ah, the river runs as the river rolls. Demons will do what demons will do. Place your own selfish interests above all else. Shalong throws his palms against the floor. Blue blood splatters onto the black tile. My queen! Please! I was the one who was weak. I should be the one to bear the brunt of your edict. Shalong, you fool! My queen, I am the leader. I should answer for our failure. Enough. I tire of this. 30 years in the cauldron of needles. Split the time amongst yourselves as you wish. You are dismissed. As the despair and fear registers on their faces, Tsigu flourishes a hand and the demons fold out of existence like paper cranes unbecoming. And now, alone, the queen of the underworld taps the armrest of her ivory throne with the painted nails of her right hand in deepest black. The call of the mist is growing, sister. But I am strong, far stronger than you. I have resisted it for 4,000 lifetimes. What's one more? Inside Plumleaf Courtyard, we see trees swollen with overripe fruits, earth teeming with thick golden pollen, and the erratic, flickering residue of volatile chronomancy. Xiaocheng steadies Yinghe, who gingerly holds themselves around the torso as though their ribs are bruised. Brother Goose pecks forlornly at the Ascension Gate, honking every now and then, where the last of this teleportation magic is quickly fading. The courtier of four symbols turns. They shield the river gourd at their hip with their hands. Their bright orange eyes dart from Goose to Yinghe to Lumira to Zainin, and then, finally, to Seir. Fear. Just like the fear in Shalong's face flickers in Xiaocheng's gaze, their eyes travel to that bright blue blood still slick on your mouth, Seir, and they take a step back away from you. Why did you do that?
And Seir begins heavily panting. As the monstrification lingers for a moment, and then his eyes catch on Nova, catch on the blood that drips past his dark lips, and onto the fear on Xiaocheng's face. And as soon as the crashing wave of sense, realization beats against him, What did I just do?
You bit that demon. I thought I saw something in your eyes the last time your party came back. The hunger of the devouring. I don't know how, but that hunger is in you.
I would watch it. Lumira steps up, eyes very pointed on them. before passing Sayir a cloth that she pulled out of her cloak to wipe their face with.
I say
hand do
only
you
what I
use?
see. The truth in his eyes. The disaster of the
Now-
devouring. It is in him. I don't know how, but it is in him.
And Zynon steps between Xiao Cheng and Seer, having only glanced at Seer, honestly. Now, please, I know that you all are a bit sensitive about such things, but I think there's a perfectly logical explanation for it, Zynon says over his shoulder.
Question for Lumira. Which hand do you use to reach out to a
Right.
cloth to hand to Sayer? Where the gold is?
Left is where the gold is, right?
Gotcha. Sayer sees your hand, and there's a moment his eyes flick to your other arm, and he watches your gaze and tries to pat his mouth dry of the blue blood that begins to darken around the messy stubble on his face. Thank you. And hearing Zynon's cue, something snaps back at Sayer again. The openness of his monstrosity, the heart laid bare, the lid that he's tried to keep on his body exposed to everyone. Yes, I just wanted to protect Ying He, and sense arrives back in Sayer's mind for a moment as he sidesteps away from Nova for a moment to see if his friend is still here, the friend who took a devastating blow on his behalf.
Ying He has stepped out from the shade of the peach tree that they were smacked into, and they're now holding their ribs tenderly, slightly bent over, their long hair falling into their silver eyes, tentatively on the edges of this conversation, not inviting himself into it, but observing, like she always does. When your eyes sight hers, she widens her gaze and opens her mouth slightly, like she wants to say something, but then closes it.
I just wanted to protect everyone. And that's the honest truth of it all. And
Xiao
that's a
Cheng?
clumsy excuse.
Xiao Cheng pauses, takes this in. This entire time they've been taking slow, careful steps away from Sayer, away from your party. But when you say that you've just been trying to protect everyone, they glance back at you. What are your intentions toward the Emperor?
Actually,
Mine?
we've spoken to her.
What? While you were taken? She's okay?
Yes.
What has she been saying?
Actually,
Tu-
I have a few questions of my own after our conversation.
Did the Emperor say something about me?
Only about your relationship to that. As Sayer gazes his blue eyes down onto the gourd at Xiao Cheng's waist.
Yeah,
That you
Questions for me about the
No,
river
no.
gourd from the Emperor?
And a better understanding, we think, as to what happened to everyone. So why don't we all just take a minute, take a deep breath, and start over now that those demons are gone.
Okay. A deep breath. Yes, I can do that. And Xiao Cheng puts on a bright smile, takes in a deep breath. They exhale. Oh dear. Oh god. Oh no.
Oh, whoa.
I ruined
And Zynon
everything.
steps forward.
Oh, I ruined
Whoa.
tried to ignore that nightmare, and then the Western Wind God's special goose dinner, and then I couldn't find a special two-headed goose, so I had to find a normal one from the mortal realm, and then Julie wanted me to deliver a special letter to the throne room, and Luhua wanted the finest silk to wrap a gift in, and a gem from the underworld for the Forge Master, and then Twinsing put in 1,000,000 overtime requests, and all the gods were complaining, and they wanted me to pick up their shifts, and then Lauhui wanted me to gather all the symbols for a friendly gamble before the announcement, which I don't even know what that means, and there was a preparation for the decoration itself, and then I snuck in, and I got the gourd, and then everyone was gone, and the Emperor's trapped, and there was even more danger ahead, and it's all my fault. And Xiao Cheng slumps onto the ground and keeps weeping.
Zynon has been walking towards them the whole time, hand out. And when they fall to their knees, if they'll let him, he puts a hand on their shoulder.
It's like they don't even notice your touch. They are so consumed with sobbing. You feel their shoulders heave up and down in shuddering breaths.
Hey. We're here to help.
That's even worse, because I don't deserve it.
Zynon looks over his shoulder at the other two, just like, help me. I don't.
I feel like Sayer has been looking at Lumira. Like, we watched the weeping, and slowly he just turned over towards Lumira, sharing
eye
like,
contact.
just a look.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Just at the same time, like, Lumira's, wildly enough, Lumira's brain runs the same mile a minute that they're expunging information. So she's catching everything that is said, but just doesn't know how to react to it. And I think she just kind of like looks at Sayer, eyebrows sky high, and just like shrugs a bit.
Yeah.
And then will crouch down right in front of them, next to Zynon, taking a knee, not touching them, but being close enough to them that they know her presence is also right next to them at the same time.
Zynon hikes up his... Oh, go ahead.
Remember when my friend said breathe? In through your nose and out through your mouth.
Oh, everything's ruined. I ruined everything. Everything's ruined. I ruined everything.
We all get second chances. We get
What
them.
if
We're here now. Now is our second chance.
You called us here. You did.
Sayer sees the cherry blossom petals continuously fall after that blow, as it shadows over Nova, over a weeping Xiaocheng, and he remembers a childhood tantrum. A moment, maybe, where he crouched in the darkness of their room and sobbed, and a white-haired, brightly pink-eyed, loving person crouched by him and said these words, It's okay. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel like everything is out of your control. And Sayer creeps closer. The monstrification begins to subside. The fangs and tusks recede back into the jawline resetting against his neck and bones. It's okay. It's okay to not know, but we're here with you. And you're probably overwhelmed right now, like you're drowning in an ocean. But you know,
abyss.
Yes, an abyss, a terrible, terrible abyss. But there's the three of us, and we're here. And he crouches by, like, in between Xiaocheng and Yinghe. And he looks back at Yinghe for a moment, and then looks back at Xiaocheng. But we're here with you. And let's do this together.
Okay.
You know what helps me? I get it. When things are thrown at you a lot, there's a lot to think about and for your mind to grab hold of. So this helps me, at least. It gives me a chance to compartmentalize. And Lumira will kind of like gesture slightly for Zynon to kind of move a little bit further away from Xiao Cheng, while Lumira will sit right next to them. Is there like there's a tree behind us or not?
Yes, there are multiple fruit trees all
Okay.
over. They're crouching in the shade of a beautiful peach tree.
Okay, so Lumira will scooch back up against the tree and sit there, posture upright, and her back is directly against the tree. Pull your feet into you. It's easier for me when I'm grounding myself.
Okay.
It's hard to stay afloat when you feel like there's nothing around you, nothing keeping you tethered. So, feet flat on the ground, back up against the wall, and feel it. Let the wall be your strength until you build it up again.
Okay. I'm feeling better. Just a little better, but it's still... You all don't understand. It's not good. I doubt you would all be so compassionate if you knew exactly what I've done. What I did.
We all do things we are not proud of, whether intentional or not. Doesn't mean you don't get sympathy.
Zynon is listening and looking at Yinghe. The last time that he saw her was in a room of fire. A place that he shouldn't be. But he listens to Lumira. He feels his feet on the ground. And even though he was looking in that direction, you can hear the dirt beneath his boots grind as he turns back to face the conversation and crouch underneath the peach tree. Lumira's right. And we're not here to judge you. We're here to bring back your folk.
Well, I hope you're able to, because what I've done is let me just start from the beginning. Let me just tell you all about all the shame and the guilt and the weakness and the failure that I've been carrying inside my chest, inside my soul. No, I should. I need to. I've been holding on to this for so long, for days, for weeks, maybe even for years, and I've had no place to put it, and I just need someone to know, so you can help me, so we can fix this. It all began with a nightmare. A nightmare that besieged me several weeks prior to now. In this nightmare, I saw the Emperor. She was standing alone in the mist, looking focused, regal as ever. Everything was calm and fine until it wasn't. Until the assassin struck. In my dream, someone kills the Emperor, and I don't know who, and I've been having this dream every night for weeks.
An omen. Slayer blurts as he crouches closer to Yinghe, scanning over Ta's injuries, the state of them. And when he hears this nightmare, he just blurts it out. An omen.
I'm not a seer. I'm not a prophet. That's never been my domain of divinity. That's never been what I've been known for, what I've prided myself on. I told myself it was just a dream. It had to have just been a dream. But it kept coming. day after day, night after night, until the day the Emperor announced she was ready to name her virtue, and then I panicked. At that, Xiaocheng twists the wrist of their hand, and the mist around them swirls and becomes lush, illustrated, like watercolor paints blooming across a damp canvas daubed into being by the delicate flicks of a bamboo brush. And you all notice that they're weaving an illusion, a way to visually tell you the story as they encounter it verbally in tandem. You see it bloom into being in full three-dimensional definition around your entire party, and you find yourselves amidst a crowd of painted gods, with amethyst pillars rising toward a domed watercolor ceiling. You recognize this place. It's the Hall of Peerless Destiny. And sitting atop a throne of red sandalwood, you see the Emperor, but painted, her long purple robes bleeding across this canvas of illusion. A watercolor version of Xiaocheng stands next to this throne, hands clasped behind their back, looking nervously and uncertainly up at the Emperor. And then this painted Emperor raises a hand and makes an announcement. And the real Xiaocheng continues to speak. The Emperor's proclamation changed everything. Once the virtue is announced, the lines of power would shift. The future would become uncertain. My place by her side as her confidant, her protector, all of that would change. This painted crowd bursts into soundless cheers at the proclamation, raising their fists up into the sky, and you see watercolor fireworks streaking up toward this domed ceiling and exploding into infinite colors like dazzling, blooming chrysanthemums. But next to the Emperor, the painted version of Xiaocheng does not look happy at all. That was finally my motivation to act. On the eve of everything changing forever, I had to be sure that my dream was just a dream. I couldn't risk it anymore. I just had to know. I couldn't think of another way, a way that wouldn't induce panic and more trouble than this silly courtier is worth. And the illusory paint strokes bleed into each other. They form a rainbow whirlwind, and this whirlwind across the canvas and dissipates into a smaller, darker chamber with wavering painted shadows. You see walls lined with painted weapons, shelves stocked with holy relics, and a depiction of Xiaocheng sneaks through this vestibule, heading toward a special nook in the very center, where you see a gourd with golden cracks across its body upon an elevated plinth. So, I stole into the Emperor's private artifact room and I took the river gourd. I knew that the river gourd was the font of the mist itself, that it was the source of dreams. I wanted to peek inside it, to seek answers about this dream of mine, to reassure myself that everything was going to be okay. I didn't want anything to change. I wanted the city to stay the same as it always was. So I looked inside. And the watercolor Xiaocheng reaches toward the painted gourd and lifts it off the plinth. And they hold it reverently but anxiously in their hands, and then they uncork it. And as soon as the stopper comes off, a river of mist explodes from the mouth of the gourd, flooding the artifact room, the Hall of Peerless Destiny, the azure complex surrounding it, the Vermilion Library on high, the White Forge, the Black River, every single corner of the City of Heaven. Thick, slashing brushstrokes of white tear across this canvas, assimilating the colorful, painted depictions of the gods into its swirling depths until nothing and no one remains, until the entire illusion is nothing but pure white mist. And then the mist retracts. It pulls backward through the Black River, the White Forge, the Vermilion Library, the Azure Complex, the Hall of Peerless Destiny, the Artifact Room, and back into the gourd. and the stopper flies into its mouth and seals it shut with a dense graviturgic thunk. And this painted version of Xiao Cheng, breathless, winded, still holding the gourd, staggers out into the Hollow of Peerless Destiny, where they look around and they see no one. They stumble out into the royal palatial complex, where again they see no one, and Xiao Cheng wanders from place to place, befuddled, shocked, calling out for another soul to answer, but getting no response. And then they finally look down at the gourd in their hands, and realization trickles across their face. Xiao Cheng lifts the gourd, and they strain against the stopper. They try to uncork it, they try with all their might, but it won't budge. Frustrated, scared, they lift it above their head, and they smash it down against the ground, but it just bounces off the tile and rolls to a stop. And you see Xiao Cheng try everything. Weapons pilfered from the artifact room, smashing down onto the gourd, not a single scratch. You see them throwing the gourd off the tallest peak of the Vermilion Library, down to the lowest temples of the Black River, uninjured. You even see Xiao Cheng channeling lightning from the top of Taoli Bridge into the Spear of Seven Storms, a legendary artifact pilfered from the Emperor's private stores, and they blast the gourd with all their might, but it doesn't work. All it leaves behind is a very familiar smoking hole. And Xiao Cheng continues, I tried everything. Weapons, force, magic. I even tried bartering with it, talking to it, begging it, pleading with it to open again, but nothing worked. So it was just me in the city, all alone. Me, and the gourd, and Brother Goose.
Wow. And I think Lumira backs up against the tree right next to them and assumes the same pose she told them to take to ground herself as she's going through each part of the story over in her mind. Strike Team Nova can see her eyes flittering back and forth as she often does when she's contemplating or deep in thought.
Oh, I know I did something really bad. I made a terrible, horrible mistake, but it feels good to say it. Oh, to just say it out loud.
Sayir lingers, still staring at Xiao Cheng. At the frequency of these omens, this plane is so different. Now it's the second time he's heard of an omen through someone else's eyes and not his. A burden that both Lumira and Xiao Cheng had to carry. And the fact that this omen, granted upon Xiao Cheng, foretold the Emperor's assassination. And as he lingers on that, feeling something tighten around his chest, he quickly readjusts his robe across his chest and looks over at Zynon.
Zynon, hearing his name, finally shakes the dust, the mist from his eyes that he saw, and cuts a glance over.
This means that this means we have an opportunity here. If the gods are stuck in the gourd, and Xiao Cheng, I mean, if the assassin is amongst the gods in the gourd in the other city, what's stopping the Emperor from being assassinated then and there? But
no!
They can't.
Oh no! You're right. Oh
Whoa.
no!
No. That's my point.
Oh no! I trapped her in there with the assassin. Oh gods! Oh mist! Oh river!
I don't think so. As
Why
Saya
don't we
realizing
see the
that
nightmare?
his
Why don't you show it to us? And Ying He, who has been completely silent this whole time, steps forward out from the shadows, and Xiao Cheng's head snaps in their direction. What was that? Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, who are you? Who are you?
How did you get here?
Sayer's whole heart sinks deeper into his body, into his stomach. He was hoping that we would continue away in the direction, but now we're back to here. And we see a bead of sweat begin at the top of his forehead, down his face. But then curiosity also gets him, because I don't think he knows either. And he pans over to Ying He and he says, "Yeah, yes. How did you get here, Ying He, again?"
Lumira looks so skeptical at your confusion, Sayer. Like, you can just see on her face, like, you are so full of shit. You had something to do with it, but we're not going to talk about that right now because we have more important things to discuss.
I love that. Yeah, with all eyes on them, Yinghe shrinks back into the shadows of the other peach tree. They're standing like 30 feet away. They're not fully in the conversation. They kind of whisper shouted across the way. They go, I'm Yinghe. I'm not from the City of Heaven. I'm also not from the Cradle or the Underworld. I'm from Zhaoyao in Zhiguang. And Xiaocheng sniffs, like kind of wipes their face, straightens a bit, and cocks their head. I've never heard of Zhaoyao or Zhiguang. Is this some new province? Oh, no, it's a different plane of existence.
Yinghe, I think you are very injured. Lumira, they've hit the trunk of that tree really bad.
Lumira gets up as soon as you start her name, and she just walks over to Yinghe and squats in front of them, eyebrow raised skeptically. Let me help you with that.
Zynon looks down to Xiaocheng. Give us just a minute, please. And he wheels past Lumira and Yinghe and to Seir. I believe this is your part to fix, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
You hear from Lumira in the back.
Seir furrows his brow and looks up at Zynon and says, The hand
forbid
sent them
this,
back.
so you should fix this.
Yes. And Seir, I think in immediate response to that, kind of being grounded amidst all of this chaos, reaches out towards the Oracle and tries to do it in a very subtle way, because having a conversation in front of Xiaocheng won't work. And attempts to send a text message over to Artemis, essentially.
Okay. So there's as a tiny orange, a smaller version of the Oracle, more discreet version, appears in the palm of your hand, more like a clementine, with the same size twig and leaf.
Oh, hello. Look who it is. Come crawling back to the Oracle for a favor. I'm not such a dim-witted creation of fate anymore now, am I, now that you need my help?
They mask completely off as Seir returns back to the grumpy man that hides deep within him as a sigh exits his body. I need to connect to the Hand of Fate, Artemis, please.
That please sounded a little quiet.
Please, Oracle.
And?
I'm sorry I called you a dim-witted creation of fate.
And?
And?
Say that you're a poo-poo head.
Oh. Seir looks over at Zynon, and I
gives
am
him
a
nothing.
poo-poo head.
Oh, you look so silly saying that. Oh, I
The
wish you could
hand,
bite me now, but
Oracle.
you can't. Okay, fine, poo-poo head, like you said so yourself. I recorded that, by the way.
What? And I think that gets caught onto the end of the first of the sentence that's being said to Artemis, and he just sighs really loudly and quickly texts Artemis the following. Hand, it seems that the chosen from Zhao Yao is here. I didn't think that they would be able to contact me. How shall I proceed?
There's a pause as the text goes through the surface of the oracle, and then the orange color subsumes it, and you hear like a ding kind of delivered sound, and then almost immediately the leaf on the stem starts to grow long, like a ticker tape, with a message inscribed in standard syndicate tongue, and it reads,
You were worried about only having 3 members of your strike team. Now there are 4 of you. The journey's threads are already unraveling here, so leave it to fate to tie up any loose ends once your mission is complete. Be careful.
And that's the end of the message.
Sayer stares at this lengthened leaf, and I think he holds it in front of Zynon and looks over at Zynon.
Zynon reads it, and at first you can see his expression harden, his jaw tightens. And then he gets to the end of the leaf, nods like Artemis said it to him, and just wheels around back to Xiaocheng.
And Sayer rolls it up and places it in one of his pockets. I guess that's permission.
when you
He's just-
tear the message off, the oracle lets out a
Ah! Bet you felt bad. It didn't actually hurt. But I bet you felt bad in that moment. Simmer in that. Let that simmer. Percolate in it.
Oracle.
Pickle yourself.
And he puts one ball bearing into the access point of the oracle.
Oh, just
Hopefully
a
that'll
single
make you feel
one?
better.
You're so stingy. Thank you.
And Sayer rolls his eyes before he follows immediately in Zynon's shadow over towards Lumira and Yinghe.
Zynon is not taking you there. Zynon is staying with Xiaocheng.
Oh, you're saying Xiaocheng? My bad. He's walking over towards Yinghe then.
Let's pan in on Zynon and Xiaocheng for a moment. As you approach the courtier of 4 symbols, having been briefly left behind by your party, Goose had waddled over and is kind of sitting between their legs and making the closest noise that geese can to purring, as Xiaocheng is kind of stroking their feathers like in a self-soothing manner, and Goose looks up with clear concern for the courtier of 4 symbols. And they're still like crying a little, but it's starting to subside.
Now that is a good way to soothe.
You think so? I've only known Brother Goose for missed days, but I feel as though we've been through everything together.
That happens when you're at the end of the world together.
Oh, I sure hope this isn't the end of our world. Sister Realms still have tales to tell if I have anything to do about it. I hope I didn't contribute to its ending.
No, hardly. But change can feel like cataclysm.
Change is the worst thing I can think of. I just wanted everything to stay the same, Zynon. I just wanted everything to stay the same.
But if it had stayed the same, you wouldn't have met Brother Goose.
Well, Brother Goose was this close to becoming a meal for the Western Wind God.
Aren't you lucky, Brother Goose?
Honk!
I would be very curious about your vision, but let's give them a minute.
Yes, they seem to have things to sort out with that. Not quite god, not quite cultivator either, from another plane. And speaking of Yinghe, we push across the courtyard to find Sayer, Lumira, and the Chosen of Zhao Yao. Yinghe stands in the shade of the tree, nervously fretting their fingers together, still hunched in slight pain from their ribs. I hope I didn't cause too many problems. I was just trying to keep an eye out for you, Seer. Make sure you were okay.
No, you didn't. And Sayer crouches by Lumira, and in the exchange of asking Lumira, how are they doing, he hands you the tail end of the entirety of the message that was sent by Artemis.
Lumira will push it back in your hands for a second. You know she's doing something. She's gotta focus. And she reaches into her pocket and pulls out a stick of her gum, passing it to Yinghe. Chew this first, completely.
Oh, okay. And Yinghe takes it, and while still holding on to one end, starts chewing the other end halfway.
The whole thing, I would suggest you do so. The last person that
Okay.
did it didn't work out so well for.
Oh. Yinghe pops the whole stick of gum into their mouth. It's clear they've never encountered gum before. They chew a few times, then they swallow.
Oh, that's one way to
Sticky.
do it. And Lumira will like raise both of her hands up, like looking at Yinghe. Can I? Like, is it alright to have your consent
Yes.
to touch you?
Please, I would appreciate that.
Okay. And Lumira will start doing her thing. The gum starts working, and she's just essentially feeling along Yinghe's ribcage to see if there's like any broken bones or anything along the lines of that. It just feels like some bruises. So it wouldn't be, I don't have to reset any bones. Good. And she will pull, like, kind of rip the bottom section of her cloak off to make almost like a binding around Yinghe's midsection to kind of like hold it together and give them a bit more support.
Oh, thank you. It feels better. I think it's just some light bruising. I appreciate that. Healer
That was
of
my
Strike
assessment.
Team Nova.
You're welcome. And when she's done, she'll then turn to Sayer. What? And
And as he passes on the note, he whispers closer to Lumira's ear, "It seems that the hand of fate permits this." And he says that so uncertainly. He looked to Zion for reassurance, and now he's looking to Lumira for reassurance that this permission is real, and he's not imagining this piece of leaf that has been handed over to us.
well, that's what it looks like.
I
I
will
would
take
love
point
to
on this.
catch up and talk more, but I do think probably we should address the whole Emperor about to be assassinated thing first. That feels a little urgent.
Yes,
If I could make a suggestion. I was
Yeah.
going to say, and Yinghe raises their voice so Zainan and Xiaocheng can both hear, that, well, regarding the attempted assassination that may or may not be an omen, could you show us what you saw? Like you did with the events leading up to what brought us here? And Xiaocheng kind of sniffs one last time, looks up, doesn't stand yet, but addresses all of you. That's actually a pretty good idea, Yinghe. Thank you. Yes, okay, I can, but I don't like thinking about it again. It's a terrible vision. It's not one I would like to revisit or relive. Frankly, it fills me with shame and with fear.
She has faith in you. Ta sent us back to help you.
Okay. Okay, then I will work through the fear. For her. For the
Sidon
Emperor.
offers them a hand.
Xiao Cheng takes it and stands. And as they do, the mist starts to swirl once more with illusory magic. And Xiao Cheng says, the reason I didn't tell anyone about this dream, I didn't confide it to anyone, is because I didn't want to believe that it was real. And even thinking about it, to me, feels like it makes it more real. If I don't look at it, I can act like it doesn't exist, like everything's okay. But I think I have to look at it if we are to move forward. And they start to shape a recollection of their nightmare out of this fog. And you all see, swirling from the depths of this mist, an image of the Emperor surfacing. We see familiar painted brushstrokes with deep purples and royal silvers, a long black stroke to represent their hair. She stands in the mist, calm and regal, just like Xiao Cheng had described, looking out over the fog with a contemplative expression. And then, lunging out of the mist, an assailant. Their form is vague. You can make out no face, no expression, no distinguishing features. The mist perfectly obscures their identity. You do see the assailant thrusting out an arm and a blade unfurling from their grasp, piercing the Emperor's heart. Even in this dream, even in this layered vision, you can feel it. Long Du's soul shattering to pieces. The silhouettes of the Emperor and the assassin disperse into the mist and rejoins the swirling fog until no figures remain. Seir, you, and you alone, see a third figure, woven from watercolor mist, daubed into being by a single black paint stroke, a gash across the canvas. A man with a deer's head. Towering antlers, bristling fur, broken strings of red, watching this vision, watching this omen. And then the mist thickens, and the man is gone. I know. Terrible, isn't it? That's why I don't like to think about it.
Did I see anything distinct about the
did
dagger?
we see the
Did we see the
blade?
dagger exactly? What did it look like? What
That's my
color?
question.
Sure.
What was it made of?
You all can certainly roll to find out. So, Lumira, if you'd like to investigate the mist, maybe just like with your eyes, you certainly can. Zynon, what would you like to do?
He wants to know specifically if it's familiar. If
Okay.
it's perhaps a blade that he saw being forged not long ago.
Sure, why don't you both investigate? So how are you taking in this mist and what's going through your mind?
So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use diagnoses, but I'm also going to use a little bit of my chronergy as well. I want to kind of scrub the mist, turn it back and pause it directly on the knife. Even if it's not subtle to everyone else, it is just for her. And kind of freeze frame on that dagger to see if there's anything familiar about it. So I'm going to use diagnoses. I'm going to use control of time and shielded by time as well.
Okay. I will not invoke any weakness tags, but I will say I will invoke Haunted 3, which is a status you have. As you're trying to peer into the mist, you remember the last time it swirled out of nowhere. You remember the fear of being in it while you were in the dreaming city. those emotions fight against your investigative curiosity. So why don't you roll the bones for me? While that's happening, Zynon, what tags would you like to invoke?
Zynon immediately goes into the part of his life where he walked into places, smiled, met people, memorized all the exits, all the windows, security systems. And I would like to use Student of Those Before, Resourceful Criminal, and Roguishly Charming to try and recall as much detail as he can in comparison to the weapons in the White Forge and this blade.
Okay. All right. I am going to invoke your status drained 2 against that. So you just have a net +1. You're still pretty battered from the fight with the demons. So as you're trying to recall, I think your mind is still swimming with the pain from the most recent combat encounter you had. Sayir, while this is happening, what do you do?
Funny. I think Nova, the rest of Nova is distracted with the vision, but Sayir is distracted by that man, that antlered man, once again hiding in shadow in omens, and his familiar shroud unsettles Sayir. Sayir's never done this before, I don't think. This is him trying something new out of desperation.
Okay.
What I want to do is I want to pierce through the vision like layers of a web to try and find the origin point. Something like omens are granted, they're given this an origin point. Who is giving these omens? Who's giving this warning? For what purpose?
Okay.
Who is that man?
That sounds like you're gazing into the mist. So
I
roll
know.
2d6
I had
plus
a feeling you'd say
it. You're literally gazing into the mist. So what tags would you like to invoke?
Oh, okay. I would like to invoke the. I'd like to evoke the tags Brother's Devotion, Seeing Omens, Weave Omens, and that's about it.
Okay. I'm going to invoke your status Marked for Death 1. So that's just a net +2. I think as you peer into the mist, an aspect of the mist still lingering in your memory from when you were in the gourd with everyone else buzzes at the back of your mind, the corrupted version of the mist, right? Fighting you for clarity of vision. So let's circle back to the top. Lumira, what did you get?
Flat 10.
A flat 10, okay. So on a 10 plus, that's really good. I will describe an additional crucial detail that even a skilled sleuth might miss, in addition to describing the area's general ambiance and any prominent features that your trained senses notice. So, in regards to this vision, the identity of the assailant, as described, is impossible to parse. There's no way to discern the who of the killer, or the what of the weapon, even with your 10 plus. Its manifestation as a blade feels metaphorical here. It is the representation of the act of assassination, as opposed to a literal representation of the future that is to come. So it could be a sword, it might well be a sword. It could also be through magic, or an axe, or a crescent, or an arrow, or any number of means. That's the additional clue you pick up on. It's clearly a metaphor, a symbol. Zynon, what did you get?
Haha. It's a good thing that Lumira got all that, because I got a 6.
Yeah, no. So Zynon, I'm gonna need you to pick one of your themes.
Yeah. I think because all of those came from the same Logos identity, I think it's gotta be everyone and no one.
Ooh, okay. So I will describe how it rages, weeps, or dissociates in response to a detail in the scene. This is something that will, depending on Sayir's roll, might also resonate with what he picks up on, but who knows what he's rolling. Zynon, the part of you that resonates in a deep, untethered, denied way. A part of you that perhaps you have been wanting to leave behind for months, for years. The intention of the killer. This is violence for violence's sake. There is a kind of delight in it. So Zynon, tell me about the last time you remember delighting in inflicting violence on someone.
It was a bad day at Trans. Zynon doesn't go to the training rooms very often, and he went there to pick a fight. And he didn't stop fighting until his knuckles were bloody.
Who did you pick a fight with?
I think his intention was to go there and fight the first person that he knew would fight him. And I think I don't know. I think he found someone that he knew he would lose to.
Wuyin, then.
Yes.
Yes. How long ago was this, Zynon?
Couple years. He's been trying to extinguish that fire forever.
As you gaze at this vision and you feel that violence come from that unseen assailant, you feel it ring within something inside you as well. And there's that awful tug, right? A hook behind your navel, like a claw trying to pull out your insides, but in a way that is almost enjoyable. There's that bloodthirst in you. You have it in you too, Zynon. Perhaps if the paths were different, if the choices looked different, if the fate was different, perhaps this was something that you would be capable of as well, and you see it. Say here. Hold on. Let me rewind. You also suffer or worsen a status of my choice. That's part of the mist. So I'm going to increase Haunted to 4. From 3 to 4.
I thought you were gonna say that.
Oh my god,
y'all.
please.
Okay.
This man's fine.
Zynon?
No, you're not.
Just so we know, 6 is death. If any of your statuses hit a 6,
Welcome
you're
to
dead, or
the
you might as well be.
club. Hi, Haunted. High five.
No!
Nova's doing great.
I am not a
Yay.
healer!
I am, so we're doubly fucked.
No!
Sayre, what did you get for Gaze into the Mist?
I rolled a 9.
Okay. On a 7 to 9, the mist provides muddled and disturbing visions. Pick 2 attributes, and I will describe what omens bloom from them. The attributes you can pick from are a color, a shape, a number, a sound, and an emotion.
Give me a sound and an emotion, Connie.
Okay, let's do the sound first.
Mhm.
You hear a grunt of exertion. And then a weapon thrust forward, and you hear from the Emperor. A gasp they've never made, but a gasp that they have heard fall from the lips of her twin sister once. You hear a you. Of recognition. Whoever this assassin is, Longdu knows them. There's no response from the assailant before Longdu's soul shatters. And now the emotion. The killing is not personal. In fact, the assassin isn't even really acting like an assassin. They're not sinking the blade in to kill from their perspective. In their mind, they're sinking it in to free. To free Longdu from having to pretend about being anything other than violent, selfish, and destructive at her core. Just like the assassin is. The assassin believes that everyone should embrace what they think is a god's truest, purest nature: violence. Killing the Emperor in the mind of the assassin is an act of liberating Ta, and everyone else from this masquerade of denial.
I think Sayer walks through the vision and is combing it for the antlered man when he is face to face with this interaction, and he steps back. What? And I think he turns over to Nova. She knows them. The assailant. This is not a surprise. This is... It happens. It's... To the killer, this is like truth. A freeing. A liberation.
Son,
They think...
Yeah.
didn't you say something about the Emperor having a lost twin or something like that?
In the underworld.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to make assumptions, but if there's anyone that would think that death was liberating, I think it'd be them.
I think it is fair to think it's someone outside of the gourd. Because if it's someone inside, why hasn't an attempt been made already? Everyone is scattered mind, vulnerable. It means they can't get to them.
They were trying to get the gourd.
The gourd is probably the key to a lot of it, and probably the only thing that is keeping it at bay for now.
But we're losing them. In that mist.
So we work harder. Think harder.
Xiao Cheng turns to your party. You all said something about bringing the gods back. Have they figured out a way? I need to talk to the Emperor. I need to tell them about this. I need to make sure they're okay.
Yes, and I think having everyone together might be the best course of action. Especially if everyone knows that the Emperor is in danger. You're not alone here. Not just Brother Goose, not just the demons, not just us.
And a small tear comes out from the corner of their eye. They're all cried out, basically. It's been like a pressure valve that's been released while they wept, and now it's back down to a normal level, but a little tear comes out. Thank you. And I am grateful for your help. I've been shouldering this all by myself because I thought I had to, and I wasn't sure if I could trust you at first, but now it's clear that I can and I must. So yes, it's good to not be alone anymore. I've tried everything to open the gourd. Like I said, I've tried force, I've tried magic, I've tried talking to it. Nothing
Haven't
works.
tried everything.
What do you mean?
Everything would include all of us together. You have not. So you have not tried everything.
So, do you have some hidden magic that you can use to blast it open?
Lumira's
Not us.
eyes widen a bit, but like just as quickly as they widen, go back. I just heal. That's it.
Oh. A worthy craft. But I would like to unheal the gourd if possible.
Well, I think I might know a little bit about that too.
Healers are often the most devastating combatants, knowing exactly where to strike and when to do it. So, what tactic then do you have up your sleeves?
That we don't know yet. We are still trying to learn this.
We do know.
Oh, we
You
do know.
above the
You do
table,
know.
you do.
Ha,
we do know.
We do know.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm trying to-
ignore me. Thanks.
Yeah, no, right
No,
there
it's
with
okay.
you.
All right,
We're here,
we'll
we're here.
rewind to after Xiao Cheng asks the question.
There's besides all of us, there's one more that the Emperor said is not inside of the gourd. A
What?
sage
A
top of the-
sage?
mountain.
Up the mountain. That
What-
one?
There are many mountains.
and I think Saya points to the tallest one.
Like the tallest,
that hovers
biggest
above-
mountain.
that
Yeah,
hovers
just-
above.
yeah. Huh. Tiandu Feng, the celestial peak. So the rumors are true? That a great sage lives at its top?
I
According to
see
the
that you
Emperor.
were not aware.
Well, if the Emperor herself said it to you, then it must be so. Oh, of course the mist couldn't have taken the great sage at the top of Celestial Peak because the mist doesn't rise that high. That's also why none of the gods go there, of course. Our magic grows weaker at the beyond the mist. Well, perhaps not all is lost. And Yinghe steps forward. I would like to help as well, if possible. I know what it's like to lose a god. My god was also felled in a method most violent and tragic, and my home has not been the same since her death. I would go to great lengths to prevent that pain from happening to anyone else. So, if you'll have me, I'd like to come along. Well, who am I to refuse help? You are more than welcome to assist our efforts, and thank you for lending your blade, Yingke. Metaphorically, of course, I don't really know what you fight with. Darkness. Right! Okay. Wonderful then. So, Celestial Peak it is, yes?
Yes. it
Yes.
is.
Xiao Chong flourishes their robes, and all of the dirt and the pollen and the grime, it just completely flies off. Like their garments weren't even sullied in the first place. They hit all of you in the face. They don't seem to notice, or if they do, they don't care. They take a deep, shuddering breath, and when they exhale, they look a smidge more like the smiling courtier who greeted your party at the Ascension Gate. Thank you, esteemed cultivators, for assisting this unworthy courtier. I am feeling something I haven't felt since I got everyone into this mess in the first place. I am feeling hopeful. So, I believe we have a peak to climb, and we better get on it. Tiandu Feng, the Celestial Peak, as you all know, is the tallest mountain in the entire City of Heaven, and I've personally never been to the top. I don't really know what's waiting for us up there, so we should make haste.
Haste it is. Right. Nova?
Behind you.
Love mountain climbing.
Excellent! Me too! I'll lead. And with that, your party sets off toward the Celestial Peak. And we're gonna take a break there. So thank you all so much for tuning into part 1 of this episode of Arc 2 of the Chaos Protocol. We are gonna be back in just about 10 minutes, so hang on tight. We have a brand new promo video from sponsor Connie about Chepeku, so stick around for that if you're in the Twitch or the YouTube. And in the meantime, check out our Patreon. That's how you can support us the best and the most for only $3 a month at the lowest tier. Love you all. See you soon. Bijou in 10 minutes. enjoy narratively driven, theater of the mind style tabletop campaigns, then check out Cheipeku Scenes. Cheipeku Scenes are hand-painted, intricately detailed backdrops that will deepen immersion, establish mood, and take your campaign to the next level. They even have a commercial license for fellow creators just like me. I've been using Cheipeku Scenes on the Chaos Protocol, my own streamed tabletop campaign, and the animated backdrops add so much depth and engagement for my players and the viewers. Plus, all of Cheipeku Scenes match perfectly with their battle maps. So if you're fighting a wizard on the edge of a waterfall, you can switch seamlessly between map and scene to convey the full majesty of your encounter. Chei and Peku are a couple who love to make maps, creating unique and outlandish scenes you won't find anywhere else. And as one of the top RPG creators on Patreon, they've got the imagination to match yours. For only $5 per scene, you'll unlock every variation, plus a license for commercial use. For $10 per scene, you'll get access to animated scenes, as well as Alchemy RPG and Foundry VTT modules. But here's the kicker: patrons of any tier get free access to Cheipeku's entire backlog. You're only charged for new scenes that they release 4 to 5 times a month. I can personally attest to just how incredible these scenes are in terms of quality, consistency, and immersion. So head on over to cheipeku.com to browse their entire backlog and pledge to their Patreon today. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the back half of this Arc 2 episode of The Chaos Protocol, right here, right now on Transplanar RPG or on TikTok at by Connie Chong. Before we hop back in, a message from one of our sponsors, Chepeku. If you were in the Twitch and or YouTube stream, you saw the brand new promo ad that I recorded for Chepeku for the back half of Arc 2. They are map makers who create unique, imaginative, and outlandish TTRPG battle maps and scenes like what you're seeing in the background right here that you won't find anywhere else. They've got dozens of variations like day and night and weather effects, even blood versions of the maps, like bloody combat versions of the maps. And you can also use VTT integrations to make your worlds come to life. And every scene also has an attached battle map to go with it. So you could like put players on the battle map and then switch the perspective. Whoa, they're seeing the battle map from a different angle in a cinematic theater of the mind way. It's honestly genuinely very cool. So check them out at chepeku.com, and if you end up pledging to their Patreon, tell them Translator sent you. It helps us a lot. And the other thing to get out of the way are content warnings before we hop back into the second half. Content warnings for this episode may include fantasy violence, grief, trauma, depictions of heights, visions, romance, references to sex, ghosts, and mentions of cannibalism, alcohol, and death of loved ones and family, because the Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. So if you're in the Twitch chat, use !CW in the chat to get a look at our content warnings at any time. And if you're on YouTube or TikTok, go to the link in my bio or transplanarrpg.com to learn more about the themes and topics of our show so you can equip yourself for your viewing entertainment. And with that out of the way, let's get back into the session. Tiandufeng, also known as the Celestial Peak, is the tallest mountain in all the city of heaven. Its base begins somewhere beneath the Black River, and its peak surges far beyond the highest reaches of the Vermilion Library. The Celestial Peak is a dizzying column of granite, stone, ferns, and crooked, moss-dappled pines. It is so immensely tall that eventually the magic of gods strains and fizzles and weakens. And if you go high enough, like your party is intending to, even the mist eventually fades. We push in on the eastern face of Tiandufeng. The wind is cold, the air is crisp. Thin strands of fog swirl around your party's marching feet as you ascend the dirt path, winding up the sides of this mountain. You have been walking for hours now. Soon, the sun will set, and the dark will come, and the mist will roll in. But Xiao Cheng has noted that if your party keeps up this brisk pace, you'll be able to crest the upper limit of the mist come nightfall and avoid being taken into the gourd. This, of course, is a double-edged sword. This high up, Xiao Cheng's magic isn't as potent as they're used to, and the Courtier of Four Symbols is unable to fly to the summit easily, so they trek on foot, just like the rest of you. We push in now on Strike Team Nova, Xiao Cheng, Goose, and Yinghe. To your right, you see the vast sprawl of the city beneath you, bathed in gathering mist and expansive courtyards and buildings and halls and palaces and canals and rivers and bridges and lakes. From this height, its sprawl appears the size of a dinner plate, though it does continue endlessly from horizon to horizon. To your left, the stone of the mountain towers endlessly into the sky, roughened by weather and pockmarked by moss. The path that you're on is narrow, only 5 or 6 gods wide, with a railing to your right made of thick, sturdy, ancient timber. Zynon and Lumira. We find the two of you in the middle of this pack, several paces behind the Courtier of Four Symbols and Brother Goose, and several paces in front of Seir and Yinghe. So as we push in on this private moment with the two of you as you walk, who breaks the silence first?
I think Zynon, after walking for hours and hours, and like he's actually taken his hakama off to reveal that he's wearing like just pants underneath, like black simple pants. And Lumira, you would notice at about hour 1 that he's just like and it's not that he's out of shape, it's that this is more cardio than he ever cares to do, literally ever. And the altitude is not something that he is enjoying in any way, shape, or form. And he's definitely staying closer to the stone wall than the railing. But I think as we've climbed, he's kind of gotten a little more relaxed and has started to fade to keep pace with Lumira.
In through your nose and out through your mouth, Agent Esh. Deep breaths.
Yep. Yeah. It is very sturdying to do that.
Sturdy.
Yeah. This is not within my usual experience.
I'm sorry. You've been an agent longer than I've known. You've never come across something like this before.
Well, usually those missions are brief, fleeting, not long and involved multi-day, multi-week endeavors. I've mostly done short missions. And he actually stops walking and remembers, oh yes, we have to keep moving because otherwise they're going to catch up to us. And takes a long step with those long legs of his. I've been, speaking of out of sorts, wondering about, the time magic that you've been fiddling with.
Lumira she kind of looks taken aback, but it's not surprise. It's more, really, like it's more almost like she looks like she's been challenged, almost in a sense, and she then herself stops. I don't believe I know what you are talking about, Agent Esh. Would you like to be more clear?
The time bubbles that you keep making.
So, months. You have not spoken to me or seen me in months, and the first thing you ask me about is time and my manipulation of it.
You're right.
I know.
Yeah.
Agent Ash, I appreciate the fact that you... And she says it kind of wistfully in a chuckle. Care. But, as you can see, I am fine. More than that, actually. So. And she scrunches her face like she's it's taking everything in her to not lash out.
I think Zynon lets a few paces happen. His hand following that friendly stone, cold and familiar at this point. Are you fine? Sincerely. Not about the time magic. You're right.
And Lumira looks back at you reminiscent of the first time you ever seen her at LSSG. She's sitting far in the back, stoic, eyes pointed directly to the front. I am as just okay as you are, Agent Ash.
Well then, and Zynon remembers standing in that room, going up to the podium with his prepared speech in his hand. And then he hears Naeem asking him to take care of her. And he hears her scream in the mist. The thing is, I know the truth. You know how okay I am.
Well, I guess that should give you some clue into me.
Work is good.
Indeed it is. Are you all right? And she motions to the hand that's wrapped from the burns you got.
It's mending.
Let me see. And she'll hold her
And-
hand out.
He holds it out. No hesitation, the same way that anytime she would come up to him in the wild sea, anytime before that moment. And he holds his hand out to her. It's the same. Underneath the bandages, it's almost completely healed. But when you pull away the wraps and you're looking for a burn, you can see the cracking old scars that have always been there, and maybe the burn is mixed into those at this point. But that's how okay he is. Correct.
Lumira takes a look at it and kind of brushes her thumb softly along the mottled skin. It still looks a little tender and raw.
Yeah. that's
And
not
she'll
easy.
reach deep into her cloak and pull out almost like a salve and ointment, soothing for burns. It helps soothe the burn and keeps from it scarring too bad.
Yeah, I would hate for it to leave a mark.
We don't always have to wear our scars on us, Agent Ash.
I do.
You don't.
I do. And those glowing green marks look directly into her eyes. The new ones. The ones that changed since Singh died.
Lumira notices that, but she doesn't make any reference to it. She just stares. Well, who am I to tell an old man what to do?
Yeah.
She smirks.
You, and he kind of nods his head back, hoping to not gather too much attention, but just to, indicate Sayre and Yinghe behind us. You're at least talking to someone, right?
Yes. And she lies through her teeth. And you can tell. You've known her long enough. Her eyes don't meet yours when she says it, but she still mimics the stoicism and confidence that she always carries herself. You don't have to worry about me, Agent Ash. I am a fighter and a survivor. You know that.
And when she says survivor, there's a mirror. That same very okay, not at all okay falseness bounces back. I know how to survive. But I think I forgot there's other things for a moment. And I'm sorry that I wasn't there when I should have been.
Mira blanches for a second. She was not expecting an apology. She doesn't really know what to do with that. I don't think she herself has processed all of it yet. So she just nods her head. You had your own worries and your own problems. We all did. We dealt with them in the way that we saw best for ourselves.
I wish I could say that was true. But I've spent almost a decade telling people that you are the people you're with. So I didn't take care of myself. Because I wasn't there. And
None
there's
of
a
us
truth. There's a truth that he doesn't show to anyone. That crack. And somewhere deep inside of him, a cherry blossom bud grows in the crack of a door. And he smiles. It's fake. It's false. But it isn't a smile for Singh. Not this time. He sees the young woman that just wanted to learn how to tie a tie and was so angry that she couldn't do it right. He couldn't fix that. He could just show her the way, and he's remembering all the things he's ever said and didn't quite mean. And that smile is an attempt. You are part of my team.
Thank you. It's hard to know, given my history, where I belong here.
I know where you belong.
Where's that?
Well, given that we are the 40th ranked strike team, and we have one of the best healers in all of Trans, I think that you make us better and better every day.
You don't have to blow smoke,
besides,
Sinan.
I'm not blowing smoke. Naeem even said so. You're incredible at what you do. And whatever else you get up to, I know it helps us. Just be careful with it. And he looks down at your left hand.
Mira kind of tucks her hand closer to her body. Has never left her pocket since we started. It rarely ever does now. But she fiddles with her pocket watch in her right hand, snaps it shut. I appreciate it, Simon. Genuinely.
You just tell me how I can help.
She doesn't say anything to that, actually.
I think he just walks on quietly.
On a swirl of gathering mist, we pull out of this conversation and push to the back of the marching order where we see Seir. You are holding up the tail end of the pack with Yinghe a half step behind you. What are you doing in this moment of relative solace?
We've walked, I think it took only maybe the first half hour before Seir realized that this is going to be an arduous climb for Yinghe. And I think he fetches a long wooden pole from somewhere, either from closer to the Black River, heading up to the peak. And he begins fashioning it with his crescent blades into a staff for Yinghe, whose whole torso was wrecked a while back. To keep walking this, he knows better than to try to pull Yinghe away from this. And so he very quietly, solemnly in his own way, attempts to make this staff for Yinghe as they're walking up, and hands it to them. And while they're walking, Seir is acting as the bulwark. It's something that can distract his mind. He feels this whirling tempest that rages inside of him, and seeing the fear on Xiaocheng, the gaze of Nova about Yinghe, it's too much. So he'll focus on what he's good at, looking out for his team, looking out for his friends, as he slows his pace, because if he were to walk at his actual pace, he's been trained by Artemis, he's done ladders probably every day as cardio, and if he were to walk normally, he would be way too far ahead to watch over his strike team. So he focuses on the back, using Zainan's back as an anchor for the pace that he should keep.
Zainan's staggering, breathless, wavering pace. Yes. Seir,
You have
before
to.
we even before we even get to you handing Yinghe the walking stick, as soon as you grab a branch off of a wayward pine and reach for the crescent blade strapped to your wrist, you hold onto the handle and you feel a hum of annoyance. It rings up your right hand and vibrates in your marrow.
What's that about? Never complained before, and attempts to go through with the staff and severs the branch to begin fashioning it, and I'm sure there's another pang of annoyance.
As you bring the crescent blade down, that second pang of annoyance comes even louder, resonating up your skeletal structure, and you chop it a little harder than you anticipated, so you shorten the stick more than you wanted. You have to grab another branch. This one is cooked.
And Seir tosses that, reaches for another, and says, "Please, we need this to keep the pace. It is important to the mission. I don't know why you're mad." And he attempts to snap this one with a tap of the crescent blades.
It's violence that comes down this time, and a third wave of annoyance, even greater than the previous two, resonates up your arm with such ferocity that it bounces off of the branch, and the blunt back of the sickle hits you in the forehead.
All right. Message heard. Fate. My fate, and he like sheathes violence, and instead, I think after the multiple rejections, Sayer instead uses his own like arm strength to like snap it off of the branch.
Mhm.
I like to imagine Yinka has witnessed all of
Yes,
this.
has
This
seen
entire...
all of this, all 2 attempts, and now sees you just using your hands as you're snapping a walking stick into place. You hear a small voice from behind you. Sayer, what's going on with you?
Oh, don't worry about it. I just awakened these blades, and I hear them, feel them. I feel them now, and they have a lot of opinions now. As he like wrenches the stick away from the branch and brings the pole up to his mouth and begins to kind of like blow at it so that there's no splinters, and begins picking at it with his own hands to clear the splinters. He would use the crescent blades.
And as you start to use your own hands to clear the splinters, you feel both violence and patience start to vibrate visibly against your hips with even more annoyance that they're not being used now.
Make up your mind, he says out loud.
They seem annoyed. I understand. Sometimes the shadows feel things toward me too.
The shadows? How's
Yes.
that been, by the way, Zhao Yao? Your work?
Much better now that I was able to commune with Yin An and start to stop being the monster of Zhao Yao and now the protector of the city, of the plane itself.
That's good. That's really good. And Sayer realizes that the mask is incongruent, that his body feels strange, his feelings feel strange. He feels things, but he can't name them. It's all twisted and knotted up inside him, a confusing tangle. I'm really happy to hear that. Really, and
Thank you.
It's nice to see you.
It's nice to see you too. 3 things in ascending order of importance. 1, just based on what I can see about the crescent blades, I don't think they're mad about being used as a tool so much as, well, when you attacked the demon, I don't think they liked that they weren't involved.
Sayer freezes for a moment, and his back to Yinghe, his eyes and pupils move wildly as he remembers that sensation biting into that demon, the course of power, fresh like a timber cold spring, and like rich as the most luxurious wine. It satiated something for a moment, but it was so fleeting. It was a release. He felt it. It felt like a release. But now it gnaws back quietly inside him, and he bites his lip. Oh, it's not like I meant to, he says, a point of vulnerability escaping his lips. It just happened. Try to remember to use you instead. Try and understand, he says to the blades, panning down towards them.
For what it's worth, you do feel that ambient annoyance start to die down when you apologize.
I don't know what came over me, and that's the truth of it. I got so angry. You got hurt.
Thank you for protecting me. I know what it's like to hurt people without meaning to be consumed by an uncontrollable destruction. I mean, you saw the way I was back in Zhaoyao. But that's neither here nor there right now. The second thing I wanted to bring up, the second most important thing is, I know you said you're glad to see me, but Why not earlier? Did you not want to see me until now? I've been trying to reach you, but I couldn't. Not for 2 months after the Wild Sea, after I saw that person with the shaved head and the laurel tattoos.
Sayer, I think, was absent-mindedly peeling the thick bark off of the what would be a walking staff, so that Yinghe would have a smoother surface to hold on to. And there's a moment where the bark tears in a really awkward way, and there's the loud crack. It was like, what? No. That's not the case at all. I did want to see you. I did want to see you, but I couldn't. You didn't do anything wrong. The fault is mine. And you weren't meant to be there. That's all. I wish I could explain it more, but we're already treading dangerous territory as it is.
Oh. What did
But
the leaf say?
That my teacher permits that you be here.
Are they that person I saw?
Yes.
I see. Well,
Again,
okay.
it wasn't your fault. The responsibility is mine, Yinghe. I brought danger to my strike team back then, and it was my guilt it was my mistake that I had to pay. It has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with our friendship. It has nothing to do with how much I wanted to see you. It's not a matter of want.
Okay. If you say so. And Yinghe says that genuinely. Like they see the truth of your words. And then their face falters a bit as though building up the courage for something, and then it sets, and they just say, the third thing is, well, you're not acting like yourself.
Thayer, at this point, has walked over towards Yinghe. The hem of his sash across his torso still stained with blue blood. It didn't have enough time to go and wash it out, and the stains still dot a few spots around his chest. And he hands this walking stick over to Yinghe, and their eyes meet for a moment. And Thayer is laid bare in front of Yinghe. I don't know what you mean. I'm just it was just a bad situation with the demons, and ambushes
Not
aren't
that. That's not what I'm talking about. That was you. It saw the other stuff I've been seeing. I've been in your shadow for days now, maybe a week. I can kind of see both worlds, I suppose, though I can't really interact in the City of Dreams. I can just sort of see them swirling around us like ghosts. Not up here, though. There are no gods in the City of Dreams up here. But I've been watching you since I could sense you again, since I could reach you again, since you let me reach you again, and I heard what you and Zynon were talking about in the White Forge about Sing and all of that. And is she really gone?
all
Is
of the
that
hair
why you're
on
acting like
Thayer.
her?
Thayer pants for a moment as the realization of everything begins to unfurl out of him, but he can't do that right now. He can't do that right now. He can't feel that right now. And internally grasps onto these tangles so dearly for life, but so clearly she sees him. You saw all that, did you?
Yes, I did, and I just want to know why you're acting like that.
For once, I wish you'd be able to see me when things are good and better, and not when things are falling apart. My sister is dead.
Oh. Oh, Sayer, I'm so sorry.
No, it's... How could you
I
have known?
hope... I didn't. I was confused when I saw Sing wasn't with your party, and then a talk about a funeral, eulogies. I didn't want
Her day,
to believe,
yes.
but... Yes,
Yes,
the funeral.
her day. I was the only one who attended her day, and Zain and I got that squared away. He was very, very, very patient, and I appreciated his honesty.
It did seem like you I suppose you were close to reaching some sort of place with Zion in that conversation, though from my perspective it ended on kind of a weird note. I mean, you started acting not like yourself by the end of it.
And Yinghe can see it. Sayer playing with so many options laid before him, and the tense shoulders, the tightness he holds up on his chest and shoulders slacks. The sash falls down past his shoulder. You're right. I'm not like myself. Because there's no place for myself here. We lost Sing. The chosen one, my sister, she's everything. And that's what Nova needs right now. That's what everyone needs right now. Not ominous omens, not monstrosity that is unleashed and wreaks havoc and violence. That's not what they want from me. That's not what anyone wants. I want to continue her legacy, Yinghe. She had so many dreams, so many hopes, a whole life ahead of her. And that won't die with her. I'll pick up her fight. It's mine now. And I'll do it her way.
But is that really what your family needs, though? What about what you need? Why does honoring her memory mean having to be her? Why can't you honor her memory by being yourself? She loved you, right? She would have wanted you to be you?
And Sayer remembers lying on his back in the wild sea. The words, "You are not my brother, you are my doom." And he doesn't answer. He doesn't answer for what she could possibly want. Couldn't have been the doom she wanted. It was the doom that doomed her, after all. All I know is... Yinghe, did you see Xiao Cheng's face? Did you see Xiao Cheng's face? Did you see that fear?
Yes, I did.
Did you see the fear on the demons? Demons ran a cowering from me. My team, barely a word about it. Running to Sayer's defense again. A hurdle. A loose thread that will unravel us. No, that's not what they need. That's not what Nova needs. That's not what my friends need. You're right, though. I'm not doing a very good job, so I must be better.
No,
This-
that's not what I. No, I think you are able to steamroll right past Yinghua, if you would like. Their protests are feeble compared to this new encouragement that's flowing through you.
Besides, nobody wants this anyway. Come. Please, don't throw yourself into danger like that. Let me hold it for you. Okay? Come, before the old man yells at me for holding us back.
Wordlessly, Yinghe reaches out a slightly trembling hand and takes the now done walking stick from your hands. They accept this gift with a small nod, and they lean on it to support their ribs. And as you turn and continue picking up the trail after Zainin and Lumira and Xiaocheng and Brother Goose, Yinghe pauses for a moment at the very back of the pack, looking at your retreating back. But I want that. As all of you retreat farther up the path, with Yinghe a half step behind each of you, the mist pushes in and swirls through this scene. And when it clears, we find Strike Team Nova sitting around a warm, flickering campfire at the one of the Celestial Peak's many scenic landings. And this high up, the mist is thin, too thin to whisk your party away to the City of Dreams. You can see the sky awash in stars above your head, dazzling silver constellations swirling around a sliver of a crescent pale moon. Xiaocheng, around the campfire, is clearly feeling a lot better. The courtier of four symbols is currently gesticulating in a dramatic, engaging fashion as they recount the fable of the apotheosis of Long Xiefeng. And they say, 4,000 lifetimes ago, in the bloody mist of the devouring, a peasant girl from nowhere was born. Her name was Long Xiefeng, and she would change everything. And Xiaocheng flourishes their hands, and a fan appears in one wrist, and they stride from one end of the fire to the other, waving the fan in delicate and exuberant motions as they tell this story. Over the course of hundreds of years, of centuries, Long Xiefeng became a legendary cultivator. She was always on the knife's edge between mundanity and divinity, but never quite gave up her status as a mortal. It wasn't until her twin sister ascended to godhood that she was driven to act. And Xiaocheng slaps the fan shut and points it at Goose. And Goose, who is their scene partner now, honks and flaps their wings. Long Xiefeng's sister was a terrible god, a cannibalistic god, a hungry, hateful god of pain and suffering and death. Long Xiefeng heard fate's call. And Ta answered. Ta brandished Ta the sword and drove it through the heart of Ta the own sister. And Xiaocheng leaps forward and mimics driving the fan through Goose's heart. And Goose flaps his wings and then slackens with his tongue out, pretending to die. And a triumphant Xiaocheng standing above Goose says, as her own sister's blood spilled over the ground, Long Xiefeng became the first, the only Godkiller the sister realms have ever known, the only mortal capable of killing a god. But that wasn't the end of her tale. Oh, No, 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 no. It was merely the beginning. And Xiao Cheng pulls the fan back and snaps the leaf open. And on that flourish, it explodes into 1,000 strings of illusory light, bathing Xiao Cheng in a dazzling array of sparkles and firecrackers. Long Xiafeng soon ascended to godhood herself, claiming the title of Longdu, the Amethyst Dragon. Through force, through charisma, and through a 3,000 lifetime-long divine political campaign, Longdu united all the gods of the Sister Realms under a single banner. She ended the devouring and claimed the heavenly throne as the first, the only, immortal emperor of heaven. And Xiao Cheng flings their arms open, and at the same time, Goose pops back up onto their feet and flings his wings open. And that is the story of the apotheosis of Long Xiefeng. Thank you. Please. Tips. Goose tips. And Goose waddles around with a little hat that's kind of flipped onto its side, collecting tips from the three of you.
Poseidon puts a piece of food in it.
That seems to appease Goose.
Lemira looks so confused. And when Xiaosheng is done, Lumira just looks at them straight-faced, pointed blank, and goes, "Is there a book I can read about this that's
Which one?
sans
There
all
are
the
so many.
theatrics?"
There are romances and epics and even the dry historical accounts are nowhere near dry. You couldn't make this story boring if you tried.
I didn't say it was going to be boring. I just wanted less. And she flutters around the back of her head, like less distraction while I try to listen.
That is part of the fun.
That
Moral
is
stories.
exactly. The dramatics are part of the narrative. What's the fun of telling a story if you don't get to have a little bit of drama, a little bit of intrigue, a few twists, some tragedy, and then a triumph? Heroes.
All right. And she goes back to finger, like throughout the entire time of this, she's been like finger combing and rebraiding her hair. So she's just like, all right. And goes right back to it.
Goose waddles up to Sayre.
Sayre chuckles and says, leaning towards Goose, "Don't mind her. Never liked plays, even when we were kids." And hands a bit of food. I think like if we're eating, I'm assuming if we're eating a bit of rice, he kind of like hands a little handful of rice over to Goose.
Goose accepts it in the hat and then waddles back to Xiao Cheng, who picks this hat up and then twists their wrists, tipping the hat onto their shoulders, and it disappears behind their neck. Why, thank you, Brother Goose. Whew. And as Xiao Cheng settles back down beside the fire, you see that their orange eyes are aglow from the flames, and they seem to be reinvigorated by the ability to entertain. That's what they are built for. They're a courtier, they're a political maneuverer, they live to make everyone happy. And as they settle down with a flush beneath their orange eyes, I'm going to give you all your crew theme improvement, which is a brand new crew power tag called Favored Cultivators. So note that down on your sheets. What this means is you have the allyship of Xiao Cheng, the courtier for symbols, and of the Emperor herself by your side. As the City of Heaven's favored cultivators, you may pull on these bonds to strengthen your quest. And now, as the night breeze of the mountain swirls around your party and gives your weary bodies a chance to rest, I want to know, do any of you step forward to share a story around the campfire? Plus or minus theatrics.
I think after a while, Zynon would kind of let the excitement die down. But looking into the fire and chewing on the memory of many nights like this, he finally nods. I used to tell stories like that. not as grand as yours, Xiao
Oh,
Chang.
please. We all have our own style and flair. Regale us.
Huh. It's been a long time since I've told a story around a hearth like this. But
Come on, old man.
I could give it a go.
Honk,
Uh,
honk.
You see, where I'm from, the nights are long, and we couldn't always have a nice fire like this. It was dangerous. So, before we learned to catch fireflies, we used to sit in the dark. But, you know, there's a story. It was during the day, there was a child named Kiko who learned to throw stones. You know, you draw the little circles in the dirt and you find a nice river stone, not too big, not too small, and you see how close you can get it to the center. And they didn't want to stop at night, so when the family went out to go and guard the field, they left Kiko alone and they wanted to keep playing stones. And so Kiko decided they were going to go light a fire. They knew it was dangerous, but they thought they could light a small one. So Kiko went out into the field looking for just a little bit of timber. And as they walked, fireflies began to rise up in the grass and light the way. And Kiko laughed and played with them. They danced around and blended with the stars above. And, well, they found, thanks to the light of the fireflies, a piece of wood. Hollow, small, good enough for a little secret lantern. Next, they needed kindling, so they went and they found a mulch pile. And there they found a bunch of freshly hatched fireflies deep within the mulch, like candles in a lantern. If only they could invite the fireflies to come throw stones, then they could play all night and wouldn't even need a fire. So they looked down into the mulch well and scooped very carefully the brightest bit of fireflies that they could find in the mulch and gently put it in the log. And the fireflies stayed. And as Kiko walked back to where their folk had set up for the evening, the fireflies stayed in the log. In fact, the fireflies in the field followed the log as well. And Kiko played and played, and the fireflies stayed until they went to sleep and woke up thinking it was morning, time to get up and do the little bit of the work that there is to do during the day. And they looked around, and the log was the only light around. The sun was not back yet. And all the fireflies in the field had gathered on the log, because you see, Kiko had gathered the most beautiful and brightest of all the fireflies. And Kiko showed her folk, who showed others. And the nights got a lot brighter. And as he tells the story, Zainin stares into the fire. His hands worry at the little bits of fabric that he uses to wrap his hands. And he holds close a memory of a smiling face that listened eagerly until its eyes closed.
That's a beautiful story, Zainin. Thank you for sharing it.
You're welcome. It's very old. Hope I didn't bore anyone.
No, it feels folkloric. I love it. The warmth of community. Oh, it reminds me of stories that people on Yaolan tell.
I think I have one. If we're sharing.
Please, Lumira, I'd love to hear a scholar's perspective.
I don't know if this memory was exactly scholarly or not. But I've known my friend here, and Lumira nods in Sayir's direction.
Oh god, I think I know where this is going.
Since I was 8, and it's safe to say we didn't always work on a team like this together. Once we were just friends who wanted to explore, be better, greater than what we are. And Sayir, you notice instantly that Lumira is not mentioning the third in this story. Because it wasn't just you and me. It was you, me, and her. But
And Sayir's...
acknowledging that part is a bit more than she can do right now.
And Sayir sees it, that pain in your eyes. He's always been so fixated on them, your eyes. How they tell a million tales, depths of feelings, boundless, formless. And he sees it, the pain, and his joyous, playful gaze turns now focused and hardened like a blade, paying attention to your every movement and word.
And she kind of ties her hair up. She's finished retwisting it now, but even in the moonlight, if you look close enough, her neck and shoulders are mottled with deep purple and blue bite marks and bruises that go all along her neck and shoulders. But she doesn't really notice or acknowledge them, so she keeps going. There was, one night we had finished class a little bit early, and we were bored. We wanted something to do, so we devised a plan. When our caretaker and everyone else had went to sleep for the night, we would explore the basement of our school, try to find a way outside. And we thought we were so smart. I found schematics, and we had such a silent plan. We had packed. We were ready for weeks, waiting for the perfect time, and that time came. And giggling the entire time. I don't know how we didn't get caught. We just ran. Navigated through backways and tunnels, and right as we were getting to that door, right as we were outside, we made a beeline for it, and as soon as we opened the door, who was standing right there? Our caretaker. And she was not happy at all. But also,
Can't avoid a hunter like that.
I know that now. But she wasn't happy, but you could tell she was slightly proud. Proud of our initiative, proud of our planning, proud of our wherewithal. That was... We never tried again after that, but it was good to know that we had someone, that even though we didn't know they were looking out for us, they were. That's mine. And she just shrugs.
That's a beautiful story as well. I never went to school. I wish I had.
It's not all it's cracked up to be. It's not for everyone. I loved it. Others, not so much.
Yinghe says, "Do you mean Sayer?"
Huh? Sayir was distracted by the purple marks on Lumira's neck. It unearths something within the tangle that exists in his chest, indiscernible. And as he fixates on it, attempting an answer to whatever this pull is, this sinking feeling, he's pulled back, grounded by Yinghe's voice. Huh?
I was just saying, and there's a moment as Yinghe watches Sayer watching Lumira, and their eyes dart downward at the campfire, and when they look back up, they say, "I was just saying I have a story to share as well.
Oh.
It's a short one. This is back home, before I became the chosen of Yin An. There was one person in Zhaoyao who wasn't scared of me. An old woman. Very kind. Every week she would come up to the temple and she would leave some food on the steps. Not for the dead god. For me. Because I think she was worried about me. Wanted me to be okay. And I was scared I would hurt her, so I never came out, but I watched from the shadows as she knelt by the stairs and left the food every week. She did that for over 100 weeks. And I built up the courage one day to come out and thank her. I wanted to thank her for feeding me, for being kind to me. But that was the week she didn't come. And I heard from Zhaoyao that she had passed. The end.
Sorry to hear that.
Me too. I wish I told her thank you earlier. It is one of my deepest regrets.
Lumira swallows audibly at that.
Zaiden looks up to the stars. Then back to Yinghe. It's never too late to just say it.
And Sayre nods. The light of the crescent moon reflected in his blue eyes, as he leans closer towards Yinghe. I sometimes voice my own feelings to the stars. And if it comforts you at all, I think maybe she knew.
I hope so. But, just in case, and Yinghe lifts their eyes up to the dazzling spill of stars surrounding that crescent moon. Thank you, Lao. Thank you. Okay, I'm done. Who's next? Sayre or Goose? Goose ruffles his feathers and looks at you, Sayre, as though he can understand what's happening. Almost like he's asking, do you want to go or should I go?
Sayre looks at Goose for a moment, and I think he's brought back grounded in this reality for a moment, and he feels a little like something's missing. Like someone's missing. She would have loved this. And he just so desperately wants to feel her again. And so he says, I've got one. I'll admit I'm not very good at stories. That's usually her deal. Let's see. And he hesitates for a moment and plays against the stubble of his face. There were once 2 young kids, twins, mirrored and alike, but where one smiled brilliantly like the sun's light, the other a little quieter, like the moon. They had a caretaker, a teacher, a great huntress. And one day, the huntress thought, it is time for them to learn, to enter the woods, to track, to learn, to observe with eyes focused, and to hear without needing to be distracted. And they followed, of course, this great huntress. It was just the 3 of them amidst the brush, the trees. You could hear the sounds of the bugs, the birds. Everything was here and now. And they hunted together, observing deer settled in quietly by the river's edge, observing a large bear in a standoff with a wolf. And as they begin to move and path away, observing all these beasts in their habitats, the younger twin sees something amidst the trees, a shape inexplicable. And Sayre looks surprised at the moment as he retells this tale, as if uncertain that how he's remembered this. There was something in the trees, tall and dark, deep fur, very, very large, sprawling antlers. It hid in the shadow, and he wanted to creep closer, stepping forward, but he felt the hand of his sibling touching at his waist. And then a hush from the great huntress herself as they lower themselves to the height of the little ones. That is not for us, she says. That one's older, more ancient. A hunter knows when to pursue and when to relent to one that is greater. And so the Grand Huntress takes the hands of the 2 little ones and takes them by the river, further and further away from this thing. But the youngest wanted to look one more time, and he sees blue. But he hears the joyous laughter of his little sibling as a splash of cold water rains past his face, and the approving look of a teacher who has seen these 2 bloom to hunters themselves. I suppose that's the end. I believe they just head back. I think that's an end of a story.
It's getting there.
How lovely! I love these different palettes of expression from all of you. Do you feel scared when you saw that large antlered beast?
Sayre freezes. I don't know. And he says
You don't know?
quieter. And he says quieter for a moment, only loud enough for Yinghe to hear. I don't know how I feel. And hearing Zynan's question, I suppose, either way, it was a long time ago. Probably just, a great elk. The huntress always favored great elks.
They're
Well, elks are sacred beasts.
and delicious.
I wouldn't know. I don't eat elk. I
Yeah.
don't eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really eat food.
That makes sense.
You should try it sometime, Xiao Cheng. It's quite delicious. Cooked right, it can be tender. Honk! Honk honk!
And cooking is another expression just like these stories.
Precisely! Though I wouldn't know, I've never cooked either. I have been in the divine kitchens of the City of Heaven, however, and the smells are so fragrant.
I am
Honk,
good
honk,
at many things,
honk.
but cooking is not one of them.
That actually doesn't surprise me, Lumira.
Lumira looks like. Excuse you?
Sayer chokes on a bite of rice as he's avoiding Zaiden's gaze, and just a handful of rice is stuck in his throat as he chokes.
Lumira
I didn't.
does
mean
all
to-
right.
Mm.
Don't let her undersell herself.
If you say so, Zainan.
You just hear
Ooh, I've seen it.
like a huff under Lumira's breath. She's
Honk honk! Honk honk honk!
Yes, Goose.
Yes, Goose.
I will not cook you. I promise.
Honk honk!
Do you have a story, Goose?
Honk honk!
You're gonna tell a story, Goose.
Honk!
I'm listening. That'll be a
Honk,
first
you
for
were gonna
me.
tell a story.
Honk
You alright?
honk honk! Honk honk honk! Honk 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 honk!
Huh.
Honk 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 honk! Honk honk! Honk 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 honk! Honk 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 honk! Honk honk honk! Honk 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 honk! Honk honk! Honk honk honk! Honk honk! Honk honk honk! Honk! Honk honk honk! Honk! Honk 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 honk!
Whoa, really?
Honk!
Mm.
Honk honk! Honk honk! 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 Honk!
Then what happened?
Honk honk honk! Honk 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 honk! Honk 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 honk! Honk 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 honk! Honk honk! Honk honk! Honk 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 honk! Honk honk! Honk honk! Honk!
Are you two hearing anything else other than honks? Is it just me?
Lumira has silent tears streaming down her face as she is trying so hard not to burst out laughing. Like, she's wheezing at this point. She is trying so hard not to cry.
I mean, I don't speak Goose, but I did understand that. This is a riveting story. I mean, you're lucky, honestly.
Honk! And Goose waddles over to you and pecks your shoe, pecks your shin, peck, peck, peck.
Me?
Goose, be nice.
Over to Zainan, no, to Zainan for what
Zainan, yeah.
Zainan said.
Yeah.
What was that, Lumira?
Oh, I don't even remember. I'm crying.
I did my best. I'm sorry.
Honk, honk, honk. And Honk waddles despondently back to their place and squats down by the fire.
Thank you for
Your
the
pronoun
story,
just
Brother
dropped.
Goose.
Wait, did I say honk?
You did!
Yes, you did.
Honk honks! Oh my god. Yes! Goose,
Not the new
goose pronouns.
Honk
The
and
neo
honk.
pronouns.
Iconic.
I love this.
I literally have tears.
Xiao Cheng brings an arm out and like pulls Goose in and pulls on their feathers gently, strokes Honk's down and makes sure that Honk is okay. And Honk seems to take some takes a little bit of comfort in this and leans against Xiao Cheng's arm. Well, though our friendship was unexpected, Goose, it is most welcome. And I promise you, even after we get the gods back, I won't let them cook you. Okay? So you have nothing to worry about.
So I did understand. What's your problem?
Honk, 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 honk. And you're very welcome, Goose. I have no idea what he's saying.
You're the most talkative goose I've ever met.
Oh, I can
Honk,
introduce you
honk.
to some other birds.
Honk.
They're not here. You are the best goose in the city of heaven.
Honk, honk.
Goose is the only goose in the city of heaven.
Honk, honk, honk. I think it's on this that we push in on the sparks spitting off the top of this campfire. We follow them all the way up to this darkened ceiling of heaven, into this sky awash with stars. And all of you get to remove 2 tiers off of any status of your choice for spending
God.
some time by the fire and telling stories.
Haunted by death. Haunted, whatever it's called. Marked for death.
Haunted.
Haunted.
Marked for death. Yeah, that's
What-
a good one to
oh,
take tiers
Actually,
off of.
no, haunted. I have haunted
Yes.
3. I'm gonna knock them. You're not gonna catch me slipping. I'm gonna knock down. I'm gonna knock that one down by 2. So I'm only at haunted 1 now, and I
Excellent.
am not so close to death anymore.
What about
Only
Zynon?
Haunted 2. Haunted 2 now. Instead of
Oh,
Haunted
nice. It was at 4. Okay, that's good.
It's now no longer my highest one, which I'm still concerned about.
Oh, jeez. What about Sayer?
We're keeping heartbroken. But I will reduce curse
Do you have to mention that
and mark
every
for
time?
death. Yes. It is relevant.
Excellent. So all of you spend about an hour, maybe 2, by the fire, and that's when Goose starts to waddle off, and Xiao Cheng suggests that all of you continue the trek upward. Goose seems quite anxious to get to the top of the peak, just like all of you. And as all of you start packing up camp and hiking on your boots again and getting ready for the trek ahead, the night that surrounds you is dark, but also bright, with stars and moonlight illuminating any lingering shadows. Yinghe is a helpful companion insofar as navigating darkened passageways between cliff faces, some so narrow that you have to shimmy across with your backs pressed against the stone. And at the very front of the group, Xiao Cheng hums a tune, leading the way. The air up here is clear, clearer even than in the empty city of heaven, and it empowers every single step that Strike Team Nova takes. And by the time dawn breaks, you have reached the crest of the mountain, the base of the shrine that houses the Great Sage. And we're gonna end the session there. So thank you all so much for tuning in to the session. I have been your game master and creative producer, Connie Chong, pronouns they, he, and she. And I'm gonna pass along introductions to Valiant Dorian.
Hello, everybody. I am Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all on the internet at Valiant Dorian and also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. And tonight I had the distinct pleasure of playing Sayer, our tangled up, emotionally repressed man who uses he, they pronouns. And speaking of emotional repression, I'm handing it over to the king of that.
Hey.
Kai?
Doing great.
You're not lying, friend. You're not lying at all.
Hi everyone, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. You can find me all over the internet as the Style of Imladris, where I continue to commit this kind of crime everywhere. You can't stop me. I've had such a delightful time playing Mr. Zanin-ish, who will be back committing more crimes in a week. Sam?
Well, it's your favorite top, everyone. Hi, I am Sam Star. That was for Sam and Lumira. Nice to meet ya. I'm here, being queer as usual. This was so much fun. Connie, I don't think I've laughed this hard in a session in so long. You can find me all across the interwebs at Lust for Life X, LUSTTFORLIFEX, where you can, go there and see other gay shit that I do. Cause it's never not gay. What's going on, boss? Take us home.
Not much is going on, just the end of the session. Follow everyone. I don't know what accent I was going for. I don't know. Follow everyone here on various social medias. There's a reason I don't do accents. We have a very special session next week. It's our guest session with Erika Ishii. That's right, the great, what? Well, who are they gonna play? Who knows? I almost gave it away, but I think it's pretty obvious. So join us next Saturday, March 23rd at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time, right here on Twitch or YouTube at Transplanar RPG. That's a planar with 2 A's. There's no E in Transplanar. Planar with 2 A's. Or on my TikTok at by Connie Chong, BYCONNIECHANG, right here, right now. Mark your calendars. Tell your friends about it. It's gonna be an awesome time. I said we were gonna create new Asian diasporic genders or something. We created goose genders. So what's next? Who knows? I'm really excited for it. In the meantime, if you're on Twitch, hang out for the raid. Put the raid message in the chat of whoever we're gonna raid. We're gonna raid someone really awesome right now, no doubt. Tell them Transplanar sent you. Tell them about this chaotic goose-filled session. And with that, see you next Saturday. Pledge to our Patreon, join our Discord. These are 2 great ways to support us. We love you all so much. See you next week, Saturday 23rd, 8 p.m. USC time. Be show.